Today we're going to talk about, rather than a particular parsha or verse, we're going to talk about the names of the different books of the Chumash. You know, everything in our Torah is very precise. We've mentioned that besides the written Torah that was given directly from Hashem to Moshe, Moshe just wrote word for word, letter for letter for what Hashem said. The oral Torah, which is also part of what Hashem told Moshe, works together with the written Torah. And in addition to that, we have also the ideas that are brought from the early rabbis, the Tanaim, throughout history. As it's well known that the Torah was taught orally, in the times of all throughout history. Particularly, we have started to recording the Midrashim, which really collect these teachings in the time of the Tanaim, which is about, let's say, from 3,000 years ago or 2,500 years ago, roughly. But they're also bringing ideas that predate, that go back all the way to Moshe Rabbeinu. So the old Torah includes in it ideas from Moshe Rabbeinu till, and even the rabbis have the ability to also bring out new ideas over the history. And so the naming of each book is, although not necessarily written in the Torah, it's clearly part of the Torah as a whole. And even the names of each parsha, each of the weekly portions that we read, is also very significant. The names given, why that name, why not another name. There's a lot discussed on the naming of the books in the parsha. So today I want to get into the names of the books. So the first book, of course, we know is Bereshis. Bereshis means literally in the beginning, right? In the beginning. However, the rabbis understood a much deeper message than just the simple idea that it's coming to tell us the beginning of creation. The word Bereshit is also, if you split the bet, the bet means in or with, usually. So here it means in the beginning. We would say it in English. So in, and Reshit means the beginning. So if we take the bet away and read bet Reshit, so bet also is the number 2. And that means that there's a hint here to the idea of two beginnings is one way to understand it, but also Reshit can also be treated as firsts. So the rabbis tell us that there were two things that are called first, that really are precious to Hashem and come first in Hashem's heart. And really in Hashem's kavanah, in Hashem's purpose in creation, these things come first. What are they? We don't have to go so far. Obviously the Torah is called Reshis. The actual book of the Torah is first. And we know because the sages explained to us that the Torah existed many, many years before the creation of the world. They give an exact number somewhere, or it's said 2,000 years before the world, the Torah existed. Now, it doesn't mean there was a physical, art scroll Chumash somewhere before the world existed, because what it means is that the essence and ideas of the Torah that eventually were dictated to Moshe and written out in the form we have existed in its potential, in its essence, already before the world was created. And really, we could understand that it was in order for the way of Torah to actually exist in a real sense, is why a world was needed. As a matter of fact, the Zohar says that God looked into the Torah and created the world. With this idea, it gets even more intensified. Really, the whole world is only a result of Torah, of looking into the essence of Torah and making a world that would fit it. So really, nothing in this world really doesn't fit with Torah. Everything in this world fits with Torah. It just, unfortunately, things get covered up and confused. But really, the whole world is only a platform, a stage, so to speak. You have, to borrow terms from what we're used to, you have a screenwriter, writes a nice, beautiful play. We need actors and we need a stage to bring it all to life and make it all more real. Well, this one is real. This world and us in it make God's, book, God's, ideas from Torah real. So the Torah is one of the things called Reshis, called first. And now who fulfills the Torah? God chose from all the nations. Am Yisrael, the nation of Israel, to fulfill the Torah. We accepted it at Mount Sinai. We said, Na'aseh v'nishma. He offered it to all of the nations, and each nation asked what's in it and found a little bit of a contradiction. Their lifestyle, their goals in life didn't fit with the goals and lifestyle of Torah. What essentially means is that God's idea of what man is supposed to be didn't really fit with them. They had their own idea of what man was supposed to be, and so they said, no thanks, we'll make our own books. Each country, each person really makes his own book. Think about it. When a person decides to live a life the way he decides. He's essentially writing his own instruction book, manual of life. God made an instruction book to life, and he created man with the potential to fulfill what, God's our designer. Who knows better what we are potentially can become if not Hashem? So the Torah itself is the blueprint, but we're the instruments, so to speak, we're the people that are meant to bring to life and fulfill the Torah in its essence. And we're the other thing that's called first. Jewish people, Am Yisrael, is also called Reshit. And now it's interesting, we're called Reshit and the Torah is called Reshit, but what's the real Reshit? What's really first? It's an interesting discussion that they have. The sources mention that really, ultimately, even the Torah is here to serve the Jewish people, because this is the instructions, but it's ultimately we that make the Torah real and fulfill it in the world. And the souls of Israel, it says, Allah b'machshava. We came up first in thought. Is ultimately, really, it's not a contradiction, because really the Jewish people that will live and act a certain way in this world is the purpose of creation. So the Jew without the Torah is not a Jew, and the Torah without the person to fulfill it is also not real. It's just a theoretical book. So really together we make and represent the essence of creation. Therefore the word Bereshis already includes all of this in it. Bereshis, in the very beginning, what came up in Hashem's mind, so to speak, that there should be a wonderful people that will follow him loyally and devotedly, and in which way? In his way, bringing into actuality the truth of Hashem's Torah. That's Bereshit. Now, but specifically what I want to just point out, which will be consistent in all of the names of all of the books, is that we see that the word Bereshit, the first word and the name of the Sefer of the Sefer Bereshis, the book of Bereshis, is showing the beautiful love and affection and how precious we are to Hashem. So that's the first book. What's the second book called? Second book is called Names. Names. What's so special about the book Names? As a matter of fact, our Torah Shebaal Peh tells us that the name of the second book is called Names, but the non-Jewish people that translated it didn't see something so beautiful about the word names. Imagine you're making a Hollywood movie, we're trying to pick the name of a book, the name of a movie, we're not going to say, we'll call it Names. It doesn't, not too flashy enough. So they call it Exodus, which, when they make their movie Exodus, of course they pervert it, but Exodus is a much more fancy word, because when you look at the climactic part of the story in going to Egypt is really our Exodus from Egypt with all the big miracles. So if you're trying to make a movie, then maybe Exodus sounds very nice. But obviously the sages understood differently that the essence of this book is described by the word names. What's so special about names? Well, let's understand, whose names are they? When this book is saying names, who are we referring to? The names of Hashem's people, the names of the tribes, the names of Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and his children, and the children's children. Our names are very important. You know why? Because God gave us names, and a name makes a person individual. If we had only numbers, we would be, like something on a, in a stock room. You have 100 of one thing, but we're each special, and we each have a name. And the fact that the name is connected with us and our neshama, that makes it special. And that's the essence of the book of Shemot, is really about the Jewish people. We are the essence of the Sefer Shemot. Again, like we are the essence of everything, but again in Shemot it shows itself. How? Because Rashi says over here that, what's the topic of Shemot? In the beginning of this book, we repeat counting and numbering the Jewish people by name. So Rashi says from Chazal, even though the Torah already in the end of Sefer Bereshis counted the Jewish people, right, by name, the Torah goes back in the beginning of Shemot, recounts them in their death. So that the Torah counted them by name during their lifetime. Now that they're already passed away, still God goes back and recounts them again by name after they passed away, to show how precious and how dear we are to Hashem. So we see consistently again, book number 2. Also, the whole title of the whole book is about how we're precious to Hashem, how much Hashem loves us. So now let's look at book number 3. So book number 3 is Vayikra. So very interesting word. Vayikra means to call someone. However, it's not just simply calling someone. To call someone, there's 2 languages that could be used. Either Vayikra with the Aleph, which is the way the third book comes up, Vayikra, or it could be with Vayikar, to the way the language is used with Bilam, a non-Jewish prophet who actually was very immoral and very debased in his behavior. And Hashem also spoke to him. Hashem also came to him and spoke to him, called him, so to speak, to give him a message to give to the world. But it wasn't with affection, it wasn't with any endearment. However, with the term Vayikra, Rashi also helps us out from Chazal and tells us that that represents the idea of affection and importance, and that we were dear to Hashem. And obviously, although Rashi, although the pasuk there is really talking about Hashem calling Moshe, but we know he called Moshe to tell him what to tell us. So it's really connected. When Hashem called Moshe, you could really appreciate and understand that he's calling all of us, again, all of Am Yisrael. So again, Hashem is calling us in Sefer Vayikra because Hashem loves us and wants to teach us his ways, and he wants to bring us close to him. The Vayikra there means and represents a closeness to Hashem, because when we're called by Hashem through his Torah, and we learn his Torah, we come close to Hashem, as we've mentioned. Hashem put himself inside the Torah, and when we learn Hashem's Torah, we are interfacing, we're uniting and coming close to Hashem. So we see Sefer Vayikra also is a very positive message. They also, call it Leviticus. They didn't chop either with Sefer Vayikra that's the essence of the book, is Hashem calling us and bringing us close to him. They felt, a better word was in place. Anyway, coming now to Sefer Bamidbar. So Bamidbar means in the desert. Now, if you're going to make a book, if you're going to make a movie, what are you going to call it? I have the big blockbuster, $100 billion movie, we're going to call it in the desert. How do you think it's going to go good these days? So here again, they couldn't see how we can call an entire book in the desert. So the people that didn't realize what's going on decided to call it numbers, because we start by counting the numbers of the Jewish people. But really the name of the book is Bamidbar. But let's understand, they had a difficulty realizing that the name of this book should be Bamidbar. Maybe we also don't understand why. Do we understand what's so special about Bamidbar? So let's try to appreciate and expand on that a little bit. Actually, there's a two-sided beauty here. It's a beautiful story. Really, it's the story of like the idea of boy meets girl, boy loves girl loves boy. Of course, in a shidduch they date. They have a beautiful, everything's sanua. They're not messing around, and then boy proposes to the girl, and she says yes, and they get married and live happily ever after. So, the relationship of the Jewish people with Hashem is also compared to by the sages and even by the prophets. In Shir HaShirim, it's all about the beauty of the special, true love between husband and wife, and that's all about really Hashem and the Jewish people in a deeper sense. Here too, the story would fit. Meaning, husband and wife idea works to help us appreciate and understand that we have this intimate and beautiful relationship with Hashem. So that's what Bamidbar represents. We have a pasuk from Yirmiyahu that really brings it out so beautifully. This pasuk from Yirmiyahu is actually a song. It's a quite beautiful song. When I hear it, it's so special. I'm always, feel good when I hear such a song. Now, I'm not going to sing it for you guys today because I want the song to remain in your minds and heart also beautiful. And I know that if I sing it, it will ruin everything. Anyone that's been to my Shabbos table knows exactly what I'm talking about. At any rate, I'm just going to read the verse, and you guys can, sing it yourselves, or find someone that sings it beautifully, because it's a really beautiful song. So it's in the second chapter, the second verse of the second chapter, but I'll read from the very beginning. It says, the word of Hashem came to Yirmiyahu, saying, he says to Yirmiyahu, go and call out in the ears of the Jewish people and tell them this song. So tell them this. Thus says Hashem. This is what Hashem says. Ko amar Hashem. Zacharti lach chesed ne'urayich. I remember the kindness of your youth. He's talking about us now. God remembers our kindness when we were young. When we were young, when we were the beginning to become a people, when we just are leaving Egypt, we were young then. And God remembers our kindness then. And he compares it to the idea of a marriage, of a bride, and a bridal type of beauty and intimacy and love and anticipation. Imagine when the husband and wife are not yet husband and wife, but they commit to each other, all this beautiful future that they have in mind, the excitement under the chuppah. This is, the beauty, and of course when it works out, it's unbelievable. This is an unbelievable moment in every person's life. So he says, Ahavat klula sayich, the love of your bride, of this bridal love, this time, right? And when we're bride and groom and we're about to get married or becoming married, this love, Leichtech aharai bamidbar, that you followed me into the desert. Be'eretz lo zarua, into a land that was unsown. Nothing. What do we have in the desert? You know, you ever heard, honey, I'm taking you on vacation. Where? Ritz, Waldorf, at least the Marriott, something. Oh, we'll pitch a tent, you know, in the desert. Honey, I love you. I've been waiting all my life to hear that. No, who wants to go to the desert and it's hot and nothing to drink, nothing to eat? But we, an entire people, you know, 600,000 men is the number officially, but that means also women and children. We were over 3 million people, got up and I said, Hashem, where are you going? Where are you taking us? Into the desert? Let's go. We followed him faithfully. And this is the essence of the book of Bamidbar. And so Bamidbar really, I think, has an advantage over the first two books. It could be because we already received the Torah at Har Sinai, and now it's the full relationship of husband and wife. But the beauty of Bamidbar, the love and beauty and appreciation, is a two-way. It's husband to wife, back to husband. Meaning God showed that he loved us so that he came personally himself and took us out of Egypt with miracles and brought us into the desert and stayed with us in the desert. In the Mishkan and throughout our whole 40 years, he was with us. The creator of this world and all the worlds decided that, you know, where's my home base going to be? In the desert with the Jewish people, because they're there. So they're there, I'm there. What a beautiful thing when we think about it, to contemplate on that. But also, the verse from Tanakh is showing our beauty. The fact that we loved Hashem so much, that we were so loyal to Hashem, and we had an emunah, strong faith. We went with nothing. What's going to be tomorrow? Hashem will make tomorrow like he made today. Everything will be fine. And we followed him loyally and faithfully. That's the beauty of this Sefer Bamidbar, and that's why the whole book is called Bamidbar. It represents this beautiful love back and forth, like we see in Shir HaShirim, between us and Hashem and us. So there's a fifth book, but the truth is, since this book is not really the same, God gave these 4 books and dictated word for word to Moshe Rabbeinu what to write. These 4 books, although we have one whole Torah, but there's a distinction made because the 5th book is called Mishneh Torah. It's where Moshe Rabbeinu repeats over a lot of what's in these first 4 books. And the rabbis explained to us that this 5th book is from Moshe, and it's not the same as the first 4 books, but it's God speaking through the throat of Moshe, but it's also Moshe involved a little bit more, but shows you the beauty of man, not the beauty, but the greatness of Moshe reaching a level where he's involved a bit more, but it's still considered Hashem's book. And this is really the bridge between the first 4 books and the 5th book, is what gives all the future Chachamim, all future Jews to learn Hashem's Torah, to internalize it and make it his Torah, and to come up with ideas and to really become one with the whole Torah and the whole Torah learning and development process. Well, Moshe is the innovator of that, because where he puts his 5th book in, it becomes part of Torah. It's the beginning of how we all have our letter in the Torah. We all have our part in Torah by virtue of the holy neshama that we have, which corresponds to a letter in the Torah. The rabbis teach us that the very word Yisrael, Yud, Shin, Resh, Aleph, Lamed, is an acronym for the phrase Yesh, Shishim, Ribo, Otiot, La Torah, which translates that there are 600,000 letters in the Torah, which correspond to the 600,000 root souls of the Jewish people. We said that the official number given when we leave Egypt is 600,000 people. There's really much, much more. It's not a problem because the number 600,000 corresponds to the root souls of the Jewish people, but then those souls are subdivided into many, many more souls. But it represents the entirety of the Jewish souls of Israel in the number 600,000. And each one of us have our own letter in the Torah, and we really have this personal and unique connection with Torah itself. So for that reason, the 5th book, I'm not going to explain how it's so positive, because it's really from Moshe. What I will say, though, before we conclude about the 5th book, is that even though this book is from Moshe, and of course that Moshe loves us like you can't imagine, the reason why he was chosen to be our leader is because he was so merciful. Hashem saw how when a calf, from the flock, actually a sheep, whatever, from the flock, it went off astray, and he went to find it. He realized it was thirsty, and it traveled so far to find water. He said, "You must be so tired. You were thirsty. I didn't realize that if you were so tired and thirsty, so now to get back is going to be hard for you." He carried him on his shoulder. Hashem said, "You treat this flock, this animal with such care and love and concern. You are going to be the shepherd of my flock, my people Israel." So we know that Moshe Rabbeinu loved us so much, but and even with that love, that since he was our personal leader, it was his responsibility to, before he left the world, to give us the proper guidance and rebuke. And that's why the 5th book doesn't really speak openly about love, because before Moshe Rabbeinu passed away, he had to put us in line, but it does it in a hidden way. So again, the respect and the beauty and the importance of the Jewish people even comes out in the 5th book that Moshe is writing, in that he didn't openly speak about our negative deeds. It was all hidden because of our honor and respect. So all of the 5 books collectively are in line in that it's really all about the Jewish people and how wonderful and beautiful we are to Hashem. And that's basically, with that, we can hopefully appreciate, when the next year of Torah learning comes around, we can keep that in mind through each book and through each parsha, that, of course, the essence of each one is this connecting with Hashem in this wonderful way. Thank you, everybody.